Hello and welcome back to the Races Now YouTube channel for the latest edition of our Horse Racing Explained series, where we tackle some of horse racing's fundamentals. I'm joined by Adam Smith, our Races Now expert. And Adam, today the topic is jumps racing. So we've talked about flat racing in the UK and an international appeal. Jumps racing, fair to say, more UK centric, isn't it, really?
Yep, absolutely. At the top level, you will only find jumps racing really in the UK and Ireland. There's a little bit in France, but nothing really further beyond that. So yeah, very much a UK and Irish winter and autumn pastime, and one that is very, very popular in both of those countries, particularly in Ireland. The difference in popularity with the general public in Ireland between a flat racing generally and the jumps is massive. Somewhat replicated over here as well in the UK. Cheltenham Festival, everyone knows about that, and a lot of people love it.
And the clue is kind of in the name, of course, with jumps racing, but there's two different types, isn't there? Primarily, I suppose, in hurdles and then the bigger fences as well. So talk to us a little bit about the difference there.
There is, yep. Hurdles are the smaller obstacles, in simple terms, and the fences, often called chasing. The chase fences are much bigger. And then you do have some slightly more unique tests, like the Grand National, which are even bigger, but there's very few racers ran over those obstacles, very popular in its own right. So yeah, hurdles, normally for speedier horses, if you like. It's quicker to get from one side of the other on a hurdle, and the chaser fences are a lot bigger, and you have to more effort to get over those, and a bit slower when approaching and getting over those as well. So and what we see in jumps racing is horses that often graduate from what we say hurdle racers. If they prove to be a good hurdler, then they might go on to try going over the bigger obstacles in the chasers as well. So you can get horses that are champions or very good at multiple different disciplines in jumps racing. As always, there's races over different distances and handicaps as well, similar to the flat. So you have 6 divisions, as it were. Division 1 is the graded racers and the best of the best. And then really, in football terms, Division 2 to 6 is where mainly handicaps take place. And handicaps, as we've described on a different video, is where they try to level out the playing field. Horses carry different weights to make the race more competitive and a more attractive betting proposition.
I mean, when we talk about jumps racing horses as well, I suppose flat horses, they have a much shorter shelf life because of the whole breeding operation. Good flat horses often retire to stud very early and go on to breed several sort of protege, whereas jumps racing, the horses are around for a lot longer, aren't they?
Yes, that's right. Because put simply, really, in jump racing terms, to be jumping those obstacles, they have their crown jewels removed. Most of the horses that run in the jumps racing game are male horses, with a smaller percentage of female horses, whereas on the flat, there would be a higher percentage of female horses. Still more males, but more females in the flat game than the jumps game. Yes, so they have no residual value after racing because there are no stallion duties, because they can no longer reproduce, of course. So yes, you do see the horses hang around for longer, race until they're maybe 10, 11 or even 12 years old, come back year after year, get a real affiliation with the general public, and the public can follow horses from one year to the next, and if they don't win one year, maybe they will win the next. And we've had horses recently like Tiger Roll won the Grand National twice, etc., and really gets that affiliation with the man on the street.
And then just finally on jumps racing, obviously there's so much we could touch on, but I think you mentioned it earlier in the video, Cheltenham. It's a buzzword. Everybody, even people who don't follow racing, will know about Cheltenham Festival. It's fair to say the season is very Cheltenham-centric, isn't it? Everything kind of leads to Cheltenham.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's gone too far in recent years, become too Cheltenham-centric in recent years. I know we've done a lot of comparisons, but in the flat, there's something called the European pattern. So you can't just decide that you're going to put a Grade 1 race on, for example, a Group 1 race in the flat, but in a nutshell, you can in the jumps. And a pattern basically means that races shouldn't clash. So there shouldn't be a 1 mile race this weekend and a 1 mile race next weekend, because they attract the same pool of horses. Whereas the jumps, it's not quite as structured as that. It's pretty calm at the moment, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it is concentrated around Cheltenham. Those 4 days at the Cheltenham Festival, massive. But in recent years, we've seen problems with attendances, problems with dominance from 2 or 3 trainers, problems with small field sizes, which are never good for betting turnover. And as a result of that, you get some odds on favourites. In 2024, there were 7 races out of 28 at Cheltenham where they had an odds on favourite. That's not good for the paying punter. It's not good for betting turnover. So yeah, it's pretty Cheltenham focused, but there's other big events as well dotted throughout the season, both in England and Ireland. You've got the Dublin Racing Festival that has really developed. That's early February in recent years. The first grade one of the year is coming up at Haydock in November, and then you have a big event on Boxing Day, and then after Cheltenham, all eyes go to Aintree for the Grand National.
Well, there you go then, a little bit of an explainer about jumps racing here in the UK. Please make sure to watch the rest of our Horse Racing Explained series and subscribe if you haven't already to Races Now. We'll see you very soon.